Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the NS9 post-game show on Pittsburgh Baseball Now. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me is no one else. It is just myself tonight. Jim couldn't make it. Tyler couldn't make it. As you heard last night, as I heard last night watching the show. And it sounds like tomorrow I might be alone again. But hey, you know what? Screw that, because the Pirates won tonight. Imagine not watching this game tonight, not doing the post-game tonight. Pirates come back from behind, we've seen them quite a bit this year, right? Down behind. Somehow the ninth inning, they score some runs. But hey, today, it was actually enough to get them a win. So the Pirates come back from being down they were down and tied at they tied at 3-3. Then, of course, Will Crows, I'll talk a little bit here in a second. Gave up the runs, it was 4-3, and the Pirates come back and Kevin Newman ties it, and Michael Chavis is the winner tonight. He gets the shower. So Pirates win 5-4 in the ninth inning. It was actually a pretty fun game. I got to say that too. It was interesting. So to start things off, Bryse Wilson takes the mound and gets a start today, which I'll be honest, I'll admit, I called out Tyler and Jim for leaving me tonight with the Bryse Wilson start. I joked, it's funny that, Jim can come back and do a show when Roansy starts, but he's going to leave me with the Bryse Wilson one. But hey, you know what? I'll be honest. Bryse Wilson has kind of done what he's done since coming back into the rotation, I should say. And I'm kind of perplexed on what Bryse Wilson is. And I guess what I mean by that is he's not really that good of a pitcher. And I think we all recognize that. Even today, he gave up 3 earned runs. He did pitch 7 innings, 3 earned. It's not terrible. 5 hits, 4 strikeouts, the 2 home runs. The home runs have been an issue for him and still is. So the past 4 games, he's given up 7 home runs now. It's not really an answer to success. But what also Bryse Wilson's doing is he's just simply not walking like anybody. He's giving up a lot of hits, a lot of hard contact. Guys are definitely hitting on him. But he just refuses to give anyone a free pass. So all in all, when he gives up the home run, which is a big difference this time around than previous, it's very limited damage. So again, he gives up 2 home runs, right? As I mentioned, 7 in the last 4 games he started, but only 3 earned today. Because again, he limits his damage. That's why I say I'm perplexed, because he's not that good of a pitcher. He doesn't have great stuff at all. He doesn't miss bats really. He's doing a better, share of it recently than, he was in the past. But he gives it a long ball, gives a lot of contact. He just limits it. It's with him, you could pretty much pencil him for 5-6 innings, 3-4 earned runs, which if you had a good offense, you can kind of get away with that. And the Pirates did today, they got away with it, right? He gave up the 3 earned in those 7 innings, and they ended up pulling it out and winning today, surprisingly. But it's he's not that great of a pitcher. He's not going to win you games, but he sometimes, I guess, kind of does enough to keep you into the game. And if you have an offense, you can pull out some W's. So again, I don't think the bar is Bryse Wilson should be the number 5 starter next year, if that makes sense. The bar needs to be stepped up higher. But I think maybe what you're seeing, and I say this with much caution right now, much caution. But I think what you maybe are seeing right now is he can at least provide depth. Injuries are going to happen throughout the season. That's one thing you can say for the Pirates. Actually, probably the past few years, they've gotten really extremely lucky as far as injuries go to their pitching staff. So, I could feel Bryse Wilson could be that number 6, number 7 starting pitcher, on a team in an organization. I'm not completely writing him off as he's bad. I think a lot of us were at the beginning of the year, even heading into this offseason. But I mean, again, he's showing, as he showed today, he's not that great of a pitcher, but like I don't think he's just bad enough that you're maybe not tendering him a contract next year and moving forward. I don't know. Again, I say with caution. I still need to see more, but I was, definitely not a believer in Bryse Wilson, and even him coming back. It's not as if it's like, oh, he's doing things so much different now. He's a different guy. He's a better pitcher. He definitely doesn't fall in like the Mitch Keller, JT Brubaker situation. I think it's more in line with like the Zach Thompson, where yeah, he's doing things differently, but he's still not good. But now, just like on top of my head, if I'm thinking about this, do I believe more in Bryse Wilson than Zach Thompson? I think that might be a question I'm having right now in a debate internally. I'm not sure on that because Zach Thompson also isn't that good either. But anyways, again, what I'm just saying, Bryse Wilson did have a good start today. And it's not that I'm intrigued, but I still kind of want to see more to determine like what he is before I write him off heading into 2023. But anyways, so with that said, he goes again, 7 innings, comes out. It's a tied ball game thanks to the Pirates offense. And, as mentioned, then Dwayne Underwood comes in 0.2 innings. He does give up a run, unearned, of course. O'Neal Cruz having another error tonight. A throwing error. I can't blame this on the fact that something I'll talk about. I mentioned in the on Twitter today during the game and such, and we've mentioned this before. Like it's very ironic to see Cruz to Chavis, and I guess what I mean by that is Cruz is the shortstop, and he's 6'7", and Chavis is the first baseman, and honestly, I think he's like 5'8", maybe 5'9". Like it's one of those things like like you look in the basketball program and you see the kid listed at like 6'7", but he's really like 6'3". It's one of those things I feel like. I don't feel like he's 6'10". Like he's like 5'8", 5'9", maybe. But regardless, he's played very, very good defense at first base. He's shown it time and time again. He's helped out Cruz. I still want to see him at first base for the rest of the year just because he plays it very, very well in that sense. I like to say at least the best that this team has to offer. Put it that way. And I'm not going to say his height is what hurt in that situation. Cruz threw it way off also. Something you're definitely going to see with Cruz, but also Rodolfo Castro threw a ball over Chavis like shortly after that as well. But again, Underwood goes 0.2 innings. Crow goes 1.1. He's the one that essentially gave up the hit for the earned as well. But the pitching was good today. It was good enough. Albeit it was the Cincinnati Reds, a much more depleted Cincinnati Reds, a Joey Votto-less now Cincinnati Reds also. So again, it's not as if they had this like potent offense, but I mean, the Pirates pitchers did what they needed to do. And as Dave White says, and he's a Georgia boy, let Chavis play. I mean, trust me, there's no one on this team that I'm substituting or replacing right now and in favor for Michael Chavis right now at first base. Like even as a right-handed, even against righties, which, he struggles against. Lefties, as tonight showed, he does very well with, but like, I'm going to take this back in a second. I mean, I'm not taking it back, but I mean, like, Bligh Madris isn't pushing Michael Chavis off first base. And there's no one in the minors. Like, there's no one. It's not Josh Van Meter. It's not Padlo. Like, so I'm fine with Chavis for now, for this year. Next year's a different story. But regardless, yeah. So anyways, the pitching did a good enough job, again, as mentioned, to keep the Pirates into the game today, which they did. The story is, again, like kind of the offense. I mean, ever since I feel like really ever since the Pirates were called out on being a hodgepodge of nothingness, you're seeing some chippiness and they're kind of performing. I mean, Reynolds has been performing actually. I mean, all of August, but even since then, like, I mean, the 2 homers last night, the 3 hits, he had a hit today as well, but like Newman's coming alive. Ben Gamel had 3 hits today. Greg Allen had 2 today. Bligh Madris had 2 today. Like this offense is coming alive a little bit lately. So who knew that's all they needed was Dennis Eckerlsey to call them out from the Red Sox to come alive. But they've kind of been doing that a little bit. But yeah, so Kevin Newman. Again, like we're talking about like into next year, like what Kevin Newman, I know we've talked a little bit about this. And I think Tyler and Jim talked about this last night too. But I'm definitely in that realm of thinking, like, what is Kevin Newman and what is his future for this team right now? Because I certainly didn't think there was a future for Kevin Newman. I would have been shocked that he would still be on this team right now. I mean, I'm not saying he had to get the beginning of the season he'd be DFA candidate, but I felt like if he wasn't traded at the deadline, which all likelihood he wasn't going to be, and again, this is coming into the season, that he's probably going to be a DFA candidate to make sure Cruz has shortstop locked down. Whoever's on second at that point in time is playing second. Like, there's no room for Kevin Newman. And now at this point in time, I'm like, Kevin Newman's not terrible. And like, he plays a good enough second base. I don't know how he's like, what would add to him being useful is if he could play third, could play some outfield. You know, I mean, just playing second and short kind of limits him. But the bats playing. And this isn't just like it's a 2-week stretch. I mean, since coming back from the IL, he's getting hits. He's showing to be that old Kevin Newman. And I'm afraid like we're getting snake bin. You know, I'm afraid like we're gonna buy into this heading into next year, and like the Kevin Newman that we've known of recent is gonna come back, but he's at least better than a lot of other options on this team. Like, I'll say that. I mean, it's not as if like Josh Van Meter or Kevin Padlo, you know what I mean, like deserves roster spots over him and such. But Kevin Newman, 2 more hits tonight after 3 last night, and it was a big clutch hit. And also, let's think about this. He was robbed, which would have been, the first at-bat today. A nice line drive into center field right towards the notch, and Almora simply just robbed him. Almora had, I think, 2 really, really nice catches in, I think, just like the first 3 innings. You know, eliminate two easy hits. So, like, Kevin Newman had 2 hits, but easily could have had 3 more tonight as well. Not 3 more, but 3 in total for tonight, to add to the 3 he had last night. So, like, Kevin Newman's coming back alive. He's collecting a lot of hits. He had a big one tonight, as mentioned, drove in for the tying run at the end of the game. And as mentioned, like, Ben Gamel also had a very, very good game. Now, he has some terrible base running as well. Now, we talk about how the Pirates tied it up, and Kevin Newman's the one who retied it. And then, of course, at the end of the game, we all know Michael Chavis won it, right? Got the lead. But let's not forget how the game was tied. Ono Cruz was up to bat. Ono Cruz it wasn't the greatest hit, but we know how fast the guy is, right? Hits it down the first base line. The first baseman goes and fields it, and Cruz outruns the first baseman going back to first to get him out. So Cruz has an infield single to first base. 2 guys are on. Ben Gamel rounds third. Starts running towards home. Way too far. Gets caught in a rundown. And mind you, again, this is also with 2 outs. It's a tied game. And in the rundown, he's thrown out at home. By the way, very close play. They had to review it. I'll be honest. Like, when I first saw the play happen, I thought he was safe also. And I was about to which I did. I shot all over him on Twitter. But I was like, but I didn't send yet because I needed to see the review because this might be safe. But no, they did review it. He was out. Dumb play. And like, here's the thing too. We've talked about this, how, you know, even though O'Neal Cruz is struggling, he's like the one bat who in one swing can change the game. So a lot of guys, like a lot of managers are you know, reacting to him coming up, putting like their best left-hander up there and such. Because after O'Neal Cruz, you don't worry about this lineup. And let's be honest, today, after O'Neal Cruz, Greg Allen, Bligh Madris, Jason DeLay. I don't think those guys are putting in any fear into Dave Bell or any manager, right? But Greg Allen had 2 hits today. And the ironic thing is, he didn't get the at-bat right then and there. But his next at-bat in the next inning, he had a hit. So, like, I'm not saying Greg Allen could have and would have if Ben Gamel stayed out third, right, with 2 outs, bases loaded, got the lead there. But he did get his hit. He hit it next at-bat. He did have 2 hits today. I mean, it is baseball. I don't know. Like, I appreciate risks. I appreciate aggressiveness. And, like, I kind of look at it like, okay, yeah, sure. Greg Allen's up the bat. But I mean, bases are loaded and like the ball's in the infield. Like the first baseman had it. It wasn't like it was coming from the outfield. The first baseman was staying on first base. So I'm like the perfect storm had to happen for you to become safe. You were getting into the rundown regardless. You had to beat the rundown which he didn't. So like that's where I don't understand. Like the risk it didn't outweigh the reward there. I mean, you're dead to rights basically. As Jazz says, yeah, calculated risk, but I don't think it was well calculated then. It was certainly a risk, but I don't think the calculations lined up to say this is one to go after. So, but anyways, so bad base running in my eyes too. Bad base running for Ben Gamel, but he totally redeems himself. So again, he had 3 hits today at the end of the game, which of course it ended up not mattering, but he gets hit by a pitch as well. That's what lowered the bases at the end. So Ben Gamel having a really good game at the plate today, not so much on the bases. But Rodolfo Castro also got another hit today. I didn't, and I'm not going to plug in right now. He was over 300. His first at bat, he went, got the hit today, 1 for 1. He was over 300. So I'm going to guess he's probably about 290 since coming, up from the minors the second time around. But he got a hit and a walk. As mentioned, he did have that errant throw. Wasn't the best. But that one, I felt like maybe if there was a first baseman who's a little bit taller than Michael Chavis, that could have been okay. But still wasn't the greatest, though. And that's something we talked about as well. Like Castro has played actually pretty good third base. Actually, a really good third base. He's played a good second. The short has been kind of, leery on, but he does have an arm. He's showing off that arm as well. Today, just a bad throw. But yeah, Castro, again, also having a good game today. He's kind of like really keeping me intrigued as well. I know Jim and I talked about, Jim was more in line of like, he feels like he could be a second baseman. I'm thinking maybe more of like a utility guy, but I'm certainly intrigued. Again, like there's no reason Castro should not get like everyday at bats going forward. Simply, again, the way this roster is constructed, there's not really too many other guys you would rather see anyways. But yeah, so again, O'Neal Cruz, 1 for 4. He got that infield single, but still looking so bad at the plate. And I'm sorry, like 2 more strikeouts today. I think he's batting like since the All-Star game, I think like 164, if that's about right, somewhere around there. On base, I think even under 200 right now. Tyler mentioned this. I said I'm not ready to talk about it because I'm not ready to voice his opinion. But I'm ready. I'm thinking about it. He needs to see major league pitching. Like that's what he needs to work on. But I just feel like I don't know. I could be wrong too, but like he just doesn't look the same. And I don't think I would totally right now like object to him going back down to the minors. So maybe I am ready to have that conversation. Maybe this is the time. I'll put it this way. I think right now is the most appropriate time to actually have this conversation. It wasn't a month ago when he had like 40 at bats and people were talking about it. I think we're in that territory now where it's a real discussion and neither side should be called out for having it because he does look bad. What he needs to work on, he's not going to see down there, but I think getting him away from the game right now might be okay. Working with someone, another pair of eyes, which that was kind of Tyler's thing. Like his biggest thing was maybe the people aren't here to help him. and that's why he needs to get away. I might not just be opposed from him just getting away. Like, listen, just reset, walk away for 2 weeks, come back up in September. Let's finish out the season. And then we have an off season to work, to get to work for 2023 to come back. But he just struggling. I mean, he's just watching pitches that he should be swinging at go by. And then he's just swinging away and hacking away at all the pitches that he needs to lay off on. I mean, it's 1-0. It's a 1-0 count. He watches a fastball, was on the inside of the plate. Yeah, it's a strike either way. It's a fastball, goes right by him. He doesn't swing at. So now he's down 1-0. And then it's a slider or a curve or something down to the dirt, something low and away, and he's swinging at. So now it's 0-2. And here's the third pitch, which is in the dirt or slider away, and he's swinging at, and it's strike 3. And like I just feel like he's just getting, I mean, he's behind the count every time he's at the plate. Every single time he's behind the count. And again, maybe this is a like mental reset, just getting away from Pittsburgh, from Major League Baseball, going back down to the minors. You're going to see a lot more easier stuff. You're going to get away with it, right? Maybe just being down there, getting that confidence back, working on things in easier pitchers, and then coming back up in here and doing it. I don't know. Again, I think we're ready to have that conversation though. But again, it's not that the big story, but something to talk about is, right, Greg Allen, Bligh Madris each have 2 hits tonight. Pretty crucial hits. And also, let's talk about this. Greg Allen had 2 stolen bases. So, and we know he's fast. Like he's done very well on base running. I mean, not even just stolen bases, but just like base running in general. But they're a big part of tonight's win, Bligh Madris and Greg Allen. So I'd like to say credit where credit's due. I don't believe in their skill set. I don't. Certainly, again, Greg Allen is an old journeyman. He's going to be 30 years old. Like, I don't believe in him. He's not part of the future. Bligh Madris had some intrigue on, but I think like we're learning more and more about him that he's probably not like a real Major League Baseball player in that sense. But yeah, he did have 2 really good hits today. But again, the OPS now to 494. Like it's nothing to be prideful of. It's nothing to showcase yourself for. It's nothing to determine that you should be on the roster for next year or even going forward this year. And then Jason Delay goes over the reason. Jason Delay is the only starter that didn't get a hit tonight. Pirates do bang out 13 hits, 9 strikeouts. Pitching was effective. Again, it was a good game overall. It was actually fun to watch. I'm not going to say it was exciting, but it was a fun game. It was entertaining to a degree. So good on the Pirates. So yeah, not too many, I guess, other nuggets to point out in that sense tonight. And as I always do, trying to find tomorrow's starters. So, because I always forget this time. All right. So yeah, so Tyler Beede will take Justin Dunn. So Beede gets a start. We understand like this rotation too is kind of struggling because with injuries. I mean, hopefully Mitch is all right. I know he's going to get, I think, pushed back. And of course, Zach Thompson, who came out of the bullpen, will start, I think, on Sunday. It was determined, but he will start again. And of course, like I said, with Mitch Keller, his injury, I think he's getting pushed to start or a few days at least. But yeah, so Tyler Beede still in the rotation at this point in time. So he will start tomorrow. He'll take on Justin Dunn. It's a 7:05 game once again. So there's your Saturday night baseball for tomorrow. And I will be on again, probably going by myself. But if not, Tyler might be on. But that's it. So appreciate everyone coming on, listening, watching once again. Hey, you got to watch a winning baseball team. Dave, I was trying to end this show. So Dave says, what about Cherington's comments today that the coaching staff is coming back next year? I don't have much to say on that because here's why. It's in season. I don't think you're going to say, well, they're not coming back. I don't think you're going to say much of anything at this point in time. I mean, hell, like you can even go back think about the old regime. Like think about the end of 2019. Like no one's even saying about new leadership. I mean, it felt like Huntington was still here and then he was fired. I'm not saying this is the same thing. Even Cherington was involved or whatever, but what I'm just alluding to is I don't think you're going to hear much of anything. And if there's one thing that Cherington has shown us, it's that very much like the last regime, you're not going to gain anything out of him. So whatever he said today doesn't change my opinion about anything. And I think what's also to say about that is like what he basically just said was the contracts are through next year. That's a fact. I don't know. I don't know. I don't, again, take too much from it. I don't think you ever can from Ben Cherington. He, again, like anything he says is the most extreme to GM talk. They're going to say a lot of words that have nothing behind it or just a very general statement. So personally, I feel like Shelton will be back regardless. You know, what he said today doesn't change that. I feel like he will be back next year. He's probably going to play out his contract. I think it's more on the coaches of anything, much like shown last year, right? I mean, they got the new hitting coach, which again, I don't think Andy Haynes is the answer, but the coaching to me is more of potentially like at risk of losing their jobs. Shelton, I believe, would be here regardless, and I think he'll still be here next year for sure anyways. But yeah, again, I'm not reading too much into anything anything that Cherington says, especially in season at this point in time, because he's shown time and time again that he doesn't say anything. They don't allude anything. And I mean, hell, Shelton's one came out and said, we don't talk contracts. We don't talk about that. So again, that they don't operate that way. So that's my thought on it. That's my take, whatever. So with that said, I am now getting out of here, Dave. No more questions. So again, thank you all for watching, subscribing, doing all that good stuff. Like, give us comments, but we'll see you. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully after another Pirates win because they dominate Justin Dunn. So we're out. Bye-bye.